Hey everybody, happy Wednesday evening. It is the beginning of our streaming week. I just realized that I don't know if I have the correct tool for the tutorial I'm about to teach. So I'm going to talk and try and see if I can get this to... Oh, hey! Maybe I do have the right... Do I have the right tool for the task? That's amazing. Hi, Sophia. Hi, Silvern. Yes. Okay, so hi, everybody, and happy... Oh, my God. This is super exciting. I found my infinite chuck for my Dremel tool. Actually, technically, it's Heather's Dremel tool, but you have no idea how excited I am about this because now I don't have to change collets every time I want to switch from sanding wheel to a drill bit. That being said, though, I don't have a drill bit over here, so I'm going to have to run and grab one in a moment, but that's not that difficult. So, hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday evening live tutorial stream. We are going to be doing, okay, my Stream Deck updated, and like all of the things, that's not the right project. That's the wrong project. Hold on. Hold, please. But yeah, my Stream Deck updated, and all of the descriptions on the buttons went away, which I do not enjoy. Not a fan. But yeah, so that's today's project. So we are doing this adorable little mini strand ring. And so what I wanted to do with this project, seriously, I'm like guessing what buttons I'm hitting on the Stream Deck here. So what I wanted to do with this project is I wanted to do something that could show you, what to do if, for instance, you got one of the little strandlings of diamonds that we had on our sale 2 Saturdays ago, and we might be doing more strandlings in the future. So this is a really fun, also out of focus. Is there any focal distance that is correct? Maybe? No, nope. There's just no focus at the moment. So let's see if we can fix that. But yeah, so this is something that you can do with one of our little strandlings that we were selling the other night, and you can actually get 2 of this ring per 1-inch strand, because this only takes about a 1/2 inch of beads, which is... Alright, there, look, it's in focus. Hooray for autofocus actually working in my favor. Yeah, so it only takes about a 1/2 inch of beads. You can also customize that depending on how many beads you have, because obviously if you just have a bead or 2, you make this, hi Shaquille. Hey Shaquille, tune in. Okay, I will take your request, but tune in for the podcast stream at 7:30, because we are doing best worst dating stories, Heather and I both. So you can learn from our trauma. But I will take your request. I may shunt it to the podcast stream though. 7:30 today Central Time. So in an hour. In an hour we will be on with best worst dating stories. I know I have a couple of doozies. Oh, whatever, Shaquille. You are so full of it. You've been on our streams before past 7:30. I am sorry. Heather is laughing her ass off. No one here believes you that is past your bedtime. So, try another line.
Aren't there some people next door keeping you up all hours anyway?
Well, there's also that.
Just saying.
Okay, so, yeah, so this is my little ring that you can do with a mini strand. And a mini strand of anything. And you can adjust the size of the ring to accommodate however many beads you have. Well, I think you should stay up for us, Shaquille. I think we're worth it. So what do you need to make this ring? Tools and supplies. You are going to need some 14 gauge wire. So I'm going to be using 14 gauge gold filled. One of the nice things about the fact that this ring is not, it doesn't have any soldering, it doesn't have any heat on it, is you can use gold filled, which is nice. You don't have to worry about it scorching or anything like that. You are also going to need your beads, so I'm going to go ahead and use the other half of my strand of diamonds. So I've got 6 diamond beads, about a 1/2 inch. So okay, so about the podcast, yeah. So we've done 2, 1, 2, 1, two podcast streams. I've not actually released them as podcasts currently. They're just archived as live streams. So it's a podcast / chatting stream, and at some point I will rip the audio from it and release it as an actual podcast, but I haven't done that yet. I've been too busy putting out fires. So many fires. So, in addition to your beads and your wire, you are going to need your basic wire wrapping tools, which is going to be your wire cutter, and you want a fairly heavy duty wire cutter because we are going to be using 14 gauge wire. And we have round nose and chain nose. No, you didn't miss anything, Shaquille. So currently the podcast streams are just archived as live streams on Twitch. I have not actually taken the audio from them and released them as a podcast per se. So they're basically just chatting streams on Twitch at the moment. So you can go to our videos archive on Twitch if you want to watch them, or you can tune back in an hour on this channel to watch us podcast / chat / whatever live. So in addition to the pliers, well, you're gonna need to come back because I'm gonna get off for a little bit and then we're gonna come back at 7:30. So you don't need to stay here, but you need to come back here at 7:30. In addition to your pliers, you're gonna need a chasing hammer, and you're going to need something upon which to pound. In this case, I'm going to be using a bench block, and you're going to need a ring mandrel. Also, a Sharpie is going to be helpful in this situation. So I'm going to start by taking my wire and bending it around my ring mandrel, and you always want to, oh, and in addition to your 14 gauge wire, sorry, you're going to need some 26, 28, or 30 gauge wire depending on the beads that you're using. If you're using diamond beads, you're going to want 30 gauge. If you are using other gemstone beads, you're probably going to be okay with 26 or 28. And then you are going to have to drill a couple of small holes. So you're going to need a Dremel tool or a drill. Unfortunately, a hole punch is a little big for this project. So you need a Dremel or a drill, and you need a pretty small bit on it. Like at least, you know, 0.5 millimeter, or even smaller than that. Hi, Smee! Okay, and that should actually be a fairly comprehensive list of what you need. So I'm going to start by taking my 14 gauge wire, and I'm going to bend it around my ring mandrel. Now, if I'm going to make, and my goal today is going to be to make a size 6 ring, I'm actually going to go up a bit, and I'm going to bend it around a size 3. So when we bend wire around a mandrel, it's going to spring up, it's going to get bigger. So when I bend it around, and so I'm just going to bend it all the way around so that it is overlapping. And when I let it go, you're going to see that it springs up. So all of a sudden now it's bigger. It's not a size 3 anymore. It's like a size 4. So then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to wiggle it down until it's at the size that I want, which, like I said, is a size 6. Sometimes it gets stuck on the little grooves in the ring mandrel. Okay, so there's my size 6. Now, what I need to do now is mark out the part of the ring that I'm going to cut to accommodate my beads. Now, you might think since this ring is hammered that it's going to get significantly larger when you're hammering it, and that's actually not really the case with this project, because we're doing the double directional forging. So this here doesn't really get much bigger. I mean, it hardly increases in size at all. And then making these little paddles also, once again, barely increases the size of your ring. So basically, you're gonna wind up pretty true to size. So when I'm marking my cut, I just want to accommodate for however much distance these beads are gonna take up. And in this case, that's about 1/2 inch. Since I'm going to be using the same beads, I'm using the other half of the strand that I used to make my sample to make this ring. So I want to make sure I'm down at my size 6, which I am, and I'm going to turn it over. And what I want ideally is I want to go ahead and mark my cuts at places where the wire is curved. You'll notice that the ends of my wire aren't really curved. They're kind of weighing straight out there. If I needed to, I could take a rawhide mallet and I could pound those around my mandrel, but I don't really need to, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut across here. So that's my first cut line, it's gonna be right there. And then I'm gonna go about a 1/2 inch over. Yeah, and I'm gonna cut there. I'm gonna move this one over just a skosh. That may be a mistake, but okay, so those are my cut lines, there and there. Now, since we're using 14 gauge wire, do not use your super fine wire cutters on this. You want to use a heavy duty wire cutter, and you want to try and cut, flush cut. So I'm going to cut, and you only need to cut the wires that are actually attached to your ring band, meaning that I don't need to cut this wire here because I'm about to cut this wire here. Alright, so what you should wind up with at the end of that is something like this. Okay, so it's like a, it's like a C shape, pretty much. It's like a 3/4 shank. If you are an actual, proper jeweler, that's what this would be called, or something similar to that, because it's basically 3/4 of a ring. So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to hammer our 3/4 of a ring. So I'm going to hammer flat the area from here to here. Okay, so I'm going to hammer flat basically everything except for the very ends of my wire. This can get a little loud, so if you want to mute me, now's a good time. And 3, 2, 1. Do not smash your fingers. Here we go. Something just fell down, Heather. I'm sorry.
I'm used to it.
Okay, so that is our shank that's hammered flat. Now I'm going to go 90 degrees, and this can get, hold on, the positioning on this can get a little awkward. And I actually find sometimes it's easier with a square block than a round block, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my block up, and then I'm going to put this on the end of it. I'm gonna just a fuzz, and then I'm gonna use that to hammer flat and make my paddle. So notice what I've done is I've reversed the direction of forge, or I've twisted it 90 degrees. So I've got this direction forged flat, and then I've got this direction forged flat, and we're going to do that with the other side as well. Sorry, this one's not cooperating. Okay, so this one I did a really nice job of making a good paddle. This one's a bit wonky, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't know if I can fix it. Okay, that's a little better. So when you're making the paddles, if you hammer and do kind of a stirring motion as you hammer, meaning hit the metal and then pull off, you'll make a nicer looking paddle. Alright, and file was not on my list of tools and supplies that you would need, but it's definitely going to help you, because sometimes, like with me, the shapes of these paddles are not quite as pretty as you would want them to be. So I'm going to just take a second and I'm going to file them into a prettier shape. And this is especially helpful in ones like this where it's a little wonky. I can do a lot of correction and cleanup on that with my file. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is drill holes in the ends of these paddles. And this right now, you will notice that my C shape has turned more into a U shape. That's okay at this point. It's actually gonna be easier for me to drill if it's a little bit flatter, and then we will reshape it in a minute. However, as previously stated, I forgot to grab a drill bit, so I'm just gonna run over grab a drill bit. I'll be right back. All right, so I have my drill bit box. So I said a fairly small drill bit, but I didn't really specify. So I'm gonna look at my drill bits and tell you actually what number we want. Okay, so I'm gonna be using a number 69 drill bit. Everyone keep your laughter to yourself. And I have a block of wood. This is actually the base for one of those little artist mannequins from IKEA, which I took mine all off the bases and put them on rocks instead. So we're gonna go ahead and, oh my god, I'm so happy that I found this thing. Like, it's the bestest thing ever. As you can tell, it's really not that hard to make me happy. Just give me tools and I'm all good. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna drill holes in this shank that we made, and we want as close to the edge as possible, but we of course do not, oh, I never turned off the music, sorry.
I did.
Thank you. We want to get as close to the edge as possible without actually like busting through the edge, because that is bad. That's not good. Sound now? Yeah, no, it's just the hammering apparently made the microphone decide that it didn't want to work. So yeah, so anyway, so I just reshaped that so that it's more of a ring shape, and I'm gonna add the beads. Linda, if you want to hang for like 10 more minutes, your ring will be ready.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to take my 30 gauge wire, and this poor spool of 30 gauge wire has seen some things because it has like 6 ends. Hi, Ace. And this is where you do want to use your fine wire cutters for the 30 gauge wire, because the heavy duty ones just kind of smoosh it and don't really do anything useful. So I'm going to take my 30 gauge wire and I'm just going to thread it through one of those holes that I drilled, and I'm just going to take my short end. I'm just going to kind of pinch it, and I'm going to wrap that around my long end. So what I want to do is I want to try and get this wrap as close as possible to my loop. And it's amazing when you're doing something like this how your fingers can, you know, simultaneously be useful and in the way. This is also where pliers are helpful, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. So I'm trying to take my pliers, grab my wire, and just wrap it around right there, okay, to create a secure point. And sorry, I need to take off my glasses and do this closer to my face, which means I need to do it not on camera. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting old.
Dragon is so she can have a heart. Yeah. Oh, that's what I'll do. They come home tomorrow night.
Okay, so you don't need to wrap a ton of times because this is not a high stress joint. So what I've got is I just wrapped 2 times around, and then I'm gonna go ahead and trim that and press the end in like so, and then I'm just gonna thread on my 5 little diamond beads. So again, if you got one of our little mini diamond bead strands the other night, this is a great thing to do. Also, as I was observing to a client earlier today, if you make a little necklace with your little strandlet, then it's, you know, everyone else can see it. But if you make a ring with your little strandlet, then you can see it, and that's even cooler. So let's do a quick size check, because I feel like I may have made this too large for the person for whom I'm making it. I did in fact make this a little too big. Okay, so this is an example on how to fix things if you screw them up. Alright, so I was going for a 6 and I wound up making like a 7. Yo.
Sally does not necessarily believe that you remembered to put the new clasp in the price.
And the O-ring. Bigger
I
O-ring.
didn't.
Okay.
It was a large gold-filled lobster and a large soldered ring and a 4mm jump ring.
Okay.
Okay, so I was going for a 6. This is about a 7. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just going to take these beads off, and we're just gonna do a little bit of adjusting here. So we're gonna put the beads somewhere safe, and we're gonna trim off. So interesting factoid, the difference in between ring sizes is about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm a full size bigger than I want to be, so I'm just gonna trim that off, and I'm going to file it, because now I've got this really harsh cut that I don't want. So I'm just gonna file that down and make it nice and rounded like the other side, and then I'm just gonna drill another hole. Okay, so now I've gotten a much nicer shape to that end. Then we're going to grab our drilling wood, not to be confused with the judgy wood, and oh right, that's how I was like, how did I do this when I actually did it on a dowel? That would be easier, but for now we're just gonna kind of forge ahead with this piece of wood. So we're gonna start the drill and just drill a new hole. I'm sorry, doing this on camera is apparently problematic, because there we go. Ow! I literally just, son of a, damn it. Hey, can someone bring me a paper towel?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you bleed?
Yeah, I am bleeding a decent amount. Thank you. I drilled my leg.
Oh crap.
So, you know.
Can I step in for you?
No, finish with them. I'll finish this. I'll put a pressure bandage on it after the stream.
When you're done bleeding through your jeans?
Oh, I've already bled through my jeans, so it's okay.
Can't take you anywhere!
It's true. It's really true. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this project before I bleed out, because I literally did drill into my leg whilst I was trying to simultaneously turn off the Dremel and let it go. It fell right into my leg. This is another reason I like flex shafts better than Dremels, because they have a foot pedal, and so if you start drilling into your anatomy, it's a lot easier to make them stop. That is the PSA for this evening. So now I'm going to drink a little bit of blood thinner. And I'm going to finish this project, and then I really am going to go put a pressure bandage on my leg. Not soon enough, or not recently enough, Rosemary. I definitely should go get that updated. Because, yeah, it's definitely been more than 7 years since I had a tetanus shot. Isn't that what they're good for, 7 or 8? So, yeah, it's been a hot minute. We're just going to assume I'm not going to get lockjaw and die at this point. Since this isn't the first time I've punctured myself with a drill bit, not even recently. Okay, so, good for 10 years. Yeah, mine's still expired, but again, I'm gonna lean on, I've done this fairly regularly for the past several years. So we're gonna go with, I'm probably gonna be okay, though I really should look into having that updated. I have never been to jail. I have been pulled over for speeding, but I've never been to jail. And the speeding, my most recent speeding ticket, which was Amy, was kind of bullshit, but I had to pay it because it was in Colorado, so I couldn't show up for court because I don't live in Colorado. Okay, so I cut my ring down, and I am going to reshape it a bit, and then I'm going to put the beads on. Alright, so now I'm going to add those. Well, okay, so what happened was, it was in the Denver airport, and I was driving to pick my mom up, because we were going to the Denver Gem Show, and she had flown in, and I had driven in from Texas, and they were doing construction at the airport. And so I pulled off into the cell phone lot to wait for my mom. And then she called me, said that she was on the ground, so then I pulled out of the cell phone lot and proceeded at what is the normal speed limit in the Denver airport, which is somewhere between 45 and 35 depending on where you are, because it's one of those airports that just has like a really long drive until you get to the terminal. Unfortunately, since it was a construction zone, the speed limit was actually 25, but the sign that said the speed limit changed to 25 was here, and the pull off to the cell phone lot was here. So I literally went around the sign that said that the speed limit was 25, and there was of course a cop waiting right out of the cell phone lot who pulled me over. Bye. And once again, since I don't live in Colorado and I was not going to drive or fly back there to appear in court, I just wound up paying the ticket. So yes, I have been pulled over for speeding, but I've not ever been to jail. Knock on wood. Okay, so now I've got all of my beads on there. And then I'm just going to take my wire across, put it down through my other hole, come on, really can't see, there we go. Okay, down through the hole, sorry y'all. Alright, and then I'm just going to take my wire and wrap it around. It's actually a lot easier on this side because you've got more to pull against, so I can usually get neater wraps on this side than on the other side. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 wraps. I'm going to trim that wire off, tuck it in, and then I'm going to go ahead and slide this whole thing back down my ring mandrel and just kind of try and fix this shape because this one is a little misshapen. So you can see it's a little more oval than it needs to be. So I'm just going to take my hammer and gently kind of tap that back into a normal ring shape, and that then gets my beads to lay pretty nicely on there. Ta-da! So yeah, assuming you don't drill yourself in the leg, it's actually a really simple and easy project. Now, if you don't have access to a drill, you could use a hole punch. You would just need to make these paddles significantly wider. I like the more delicate look that you get when you drill them, but really it's totally up to you as far as what you do, and also of course what equipment you have access to. But that is my mini strand ring. Like, seriously, super simple, very fast project, and yeah, I got it all done in about half an hour. Kind of want to smooth this out.
And you don't even have to draw blood.
You don't have to draw blood. Don't drill your leg. Like, seriously, just don't do it. I'm just gonna smooth that out a bit. Yeah, so there we go. There's my sample ring and the ring that I made this evening. So yes, other than the drilling of myself, I'm very, very happy with how this project turned out. So, except I think I might have made it still too big. I think it's still a 6.5. Gah! Okay. Well, apparently I need to work on my sizing. But there you go. That's our mini strand ring. So that's it. That is our... yeah, so that's our tutorial for tonight. Mini strand ring. So I used, Rosemary, since I was using diamond beads, I used 30 gauge gold filled wire. If you're not using diamond beads, if you're using, I think I made this one too big, Linda. Try it though. I think I made it a 6.5 again. If you're using not diamond beads, you could use 28 or 26 gauge wire to put your beads on. But I used 30 gauge this evening. So.
Well.
Yes. No.
Well. Yeah.
It's a 6.5. It looks lovely though.
But it looks lovely.
It does look lovely.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, I'll still make you 2 6s with your strand.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right, that's it for us tonight. And as far as tutorials go, so everyone take a half-hour break, come back in 30 minutes at 7:30 p.m. Here at twitch.tv/beadingdream for our podcasting/chatting stream. Our theme tonight is best worst date stories. So I know Heather and I both have some good stories to tell to y'all. So everyone have a good 30 minutes, and we'll see you back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, in half an hour. Bye, y'all.